Sure. Here's the full expanded English version of the story, more than 1900 words, with headings and a narrative style set in Russia. The title, Greater Than No Secretary lasted a week with the wheelchair-bound billionaire, until she showed up talking. Chapter 1. The Tower Above Moscow. It was a cold, steel-gray morning in Moscow, the kind that seemed to suck all warmth from the air. 27 stories above the city, inside a sleek glass tower that bore the insignia Romanov Industries, sat a man who hadn't stood on his own 2 feet in over 5 years. His name was Mikhail Romanov, one of the most powerful businessmen in Russia. His company shaped the future of construction, oil, and even media. His wealth was measured in billions, his reputation in fear. But the man himself was confined to a wheelchair, a monument of iron will trapped inside a broken body. Since the tragic car accident that had killed his fiancée and left him paralyzed, Mikhail had turned into something between myth and machine. He ruled from behind a vast mahogany desk, emotionless and sharp as the edge of a knife. Every person in his orbit felt his presence before he even spoke. And yet, despite all his money, his empire, and the carefully controlled power around him, he was completely alone. Chapter 2. The Curse of the Secretaries. No one wanted to work for him for long. The rumor in the building was almost folklore now. No secretary lasts more than a week with Romanov. They came, polished, trained, fluent in 5 languages, and left in tears, slamming the door behind them. Some said it was because of his temper. Others whispered about strange rules he enforced. No perfume in the office, no unnecessary conversation, no eye contact longer than 3 seconds. But those who had stayed long enough knew the truth. Mikhail Romanov did not like people. He distrusted everyone, treated kindness as weakness, and respect as something to be earned through fire. His last secretary had quit after only 3 days. Before that, another had left in the middle of her shift, crying that he looked through her as if she didn't exist. The HR department had given up trying to please him. They just sent replacements, one after another, like soldiers marching to the front line. Chapter 3. The Arrival of Anna. That morning, the elevator doors slid open, and a young woman stepped out. She wasn't the usual polished type. Her name was Anna Volkova, 24 years old, recently graduated, her resume modest but her confidence sharp. She wore a simple navy blue dress, her brown hair tied neatly back. There was something calm, almost serene, about her, but her eyes were alive, bright, and unafraid. The receptionist looked up, pity in her expression. "You're here for Mr. Romanov. Good luck," she said softly. Anna smiled. "I'll need less luck and more patience, I think." When she entered his office, Mikhail didn't look up. His wheelchair was turned slightly toward the window, facing the skyline. Only his voice cut through the silence, low, cold, and controlled. "You're late. It's 8:59, sir. My interview was scheduled for 9. That made him turn his head, just enough to meet her gaze. Most people flinched under that steel stare. Anna didn't. "You'll be gone by Friday," he said. "Then I'll make the most of my week," she replied quietly. For a brief second, the corner of his mouth twitched, almost like amusement, before he returned to his papers. Chapter 4. The ice begins to crack. The first day was brutal. Mikhail barked orders without looking at her, sent her to fetch documents from 3 different departments, and criticized everything, her typing, her note-taking, even her silence. "Your handwriting is sloppy," he said. "I wasn't aware you could still read handwriting, sir," she answered calmly, not looking up. He froze. No one had ever spoken to him like that. He expected her to blush or apologize. Instead, she continued sorting files as if she hadn't said anything out of place. That night, when everyone had gone home, Mikhail sat in his silent office, his wheelchair parked before the window. For the first time in years, His mind wasn't filled with bitterness, but with curiosity. Who was she? Chapter 5. Coffee and Conversations. By the third day, something had shifted. When Mikhail arrived, his coffee was already waiting, black, no sugar. He didn't remember telling her how he liked it. I asked your driver, she explained. He only nodded. She worked efficiently, rarely speaking unless necessary. But when she did, her tone was confident, professional, and strangely warm. One afternoon, she knocked on his door. You forgot to eat, she said, placing a tray on his desk, soup and bread. He stared at her in disbelief. You're not my nurse. I'm aware, but I'd prefer my boss alive. He almost laughed. Almost. Chapter 6. The past that haunted him. That night, he couldn't sleep. Memories came flooding back. The accident, the scream of twisting metal, the unbearable silence that followed. He saw Elena, his fiancée, smiling just before the crash. After her death, he had shut the world out. His body had become a prison, and his wealth, a fortress. But now, because of some young woman who wasn't afraid to look him in the eye, cracks were appearing in those walls. The next morning, when Anna arrived, he said something that shocked her. Good morning, Anna. It was just 2 words, but from him, it was monumental. Chapter 7. The office changes. The entire office noticed the difference. Romanov was still demanding, still intimidating, but somehow, the air around him felt less heavy. He no longer snapped at everyone. He even started attending meetings in person again, with Anna wheeling beside him, calm and focused. Rumors began to swirl. Who is this new girl? She's not like the others. She's changed him. But Anna didn't care what they said. She wasn't there to impress anyone. She respected him, not as a billionaire, but as a man who refused to surrender to his fate. Sometimes, when she caught him staring out at the city, lost in thought, she'd say quietly, "You should go outside once in a while." He'd smirk, and shock the tabloids. Not a chance. She'd laugh, the sound soft and genuine. And for a brief moment, he'd forget the weight of the wheelchair. Chapter 8. The Confrontation. One Friday evening, Mikhail called her into his office. The tone in his voice was different, sharp, distant, almost defensive again. I know what people are saying, he said. That you're trying to get close to me for money or fame. I don't care what they think, but I want to know what you want. Anna straightened her back. I want a job, Mr. Romanov. Not a fortune, not your pity, and not your past. Just the chance to do what I'm good at. He looked at her, really looked, and for the first time in 5 years, saw someone not afraid of him, not drawn to his wealth, but seeing him as he was, a man trying to live. He whispered, almost to himself, "You're the first person to talk to me like that." She smiled. Maybe that's what you need. Chapter 9. A Glimpse of Humanity. Days turned into weeks. Mikhail began to rely on her, not just for work, but for presence. She became part of his routine. Her laughter filled the empty halls, her voice softened the sharp edges of his loneliness. He started asking her questions about her life, her studies, her family in St. Petersburg, her dreams. You could be working anywhere, he said once. I like challenges, she replied. He chuckled. Then you found one. But one afternoon, when she was organizing files, she stumbled upon an old photo in his drawer, a woman with dark hair, smiling beside him in a convertible. The date read 2017. Mikhail's voice came from behind her. Her name was Elena. Anna turned. His eyes were distant, cold with pain. She died the night I stopped believing in people. Anna's voice softened. And maybe it's time you started again. Chapter 10. Breaking the Walls. After that day, something inside Mikhail began to change. Quietly, slowly, like ice melting after a long winter. He started speaking more. He smiled, sometimes even joked. And the staff, who used to walk on eggshells around him, began to breathe again. One morning, he called Anna into his office and handed her a folder. "This is your promotion. You'll be my personal assistant now, not just secretary." She blinked. "You're serious?" "Completely. You've lasted more than a week. You've earned it." They both laughed, the sound echoing through the office that had once been a place of silence. Chapter 11. The Storm Before the Calm. But peace never lasts long for men like Romanov. A journalist from a gossip magazine published an article titled, "Billionaire's Secretary, the Woman Who Melted the Ice King." It spread like wildfire. Paparazzi camped outside the building. Employees whispered. Investors called, concerned. Mikhail's old rage returned, fierce and uncontrollable. He accused Anna of leaking the story. How else would they know? He shouted. Her eyes filled with tears, the first he had ever seen from her. "I would never betray you," she said quietly. But he didn't believe her. "Get out." And she did, without another word. Chapter 12. The Silence That Followed. Days passed. His office felt emptier than ever. No one dared mention her name. The coffee tasted wrong. The air felt heavier. For the first time, Mikhail realized, it wasn't her job he missed. It was her. Late one night, he looked at her empty desk and whispered, "I made a mistake." Chapter 13. The Return. A week later, during a meeting with investors, the elevator doors opened. And there she was, Anna, holding a folder. She looked calm but distant. "I came to return your files," she said. "They're yours, not mine." The room fell silent. Mikhail looked at her, the woman who had somehow brought life back into his world. He turned to his team. "Leave us." When they were alone, he said softly, "I was wrong." Anna's voice trembled. "You hurt me, Mikhail. You didn't trust me." "I know," he said. "Because I didn't trust anyone, not even myself. But you changed that." She hesitated, then asked, "Why are you telling me this now?" He looked up at her, his eyes no longer cold. "Because I don't want to lose the only person who ever saw me, not the billionaire, not the cripple, but me." For the first time, she smiled again. "Then don't lose me." Chapter 14. A New Beginning. Months later, people noticed something new about Mikhail Romanov. He still used his wheelchair, but he no longer seemed trapped by it. He started visiting construction sites, giving lectures to young entrepreneurs, even laughing during meetings. And always beside him, Anna Volkova, calm, loyal, confident as ever. They never spoke publicly about what bound them together, whether it was friendship, love, or something in between. But those who knew them said that when he looked at her, the darkness that once haunted his eyes was gone. Epilogue. The Man Who Lived Again. The legend of the wheelchair-bound billionaire faded over time. Now people called him something else, the man who learned to live again. And when asked what changed him, Mikhail would only smile and say, "She talked, and I finally listened."